33, 36 touch. Did you make any changes to that since the pandemic hit us?
Not much, except every agent has basically, there's a little more time home, and therefore agents also, you know, spend a lot more time doing virtual showings and doing a lot of things at home that in fact, you know, make their time more effective. So they end up having, you know, some extra time that they can use wisely. And so therefore, a lot of those extra times being put into calling their sphere of influence, placing extra calls. So instead of being like a traditional email, hey, just want to touch base, this and that and the other, you know, we've got this thing coming up. It's, hey, I'm going to place the call. I'm going to do a live. I'm going to do the touchy-feely. So a lot of the automated system have been replaced, or we've enhanced the touch, the real touch via phone, as opposed to the touch via email. So it's been really successful because people like to then spend 5-10 minutes. A conversation that usually would take 2 minutes because people are busy, or 3 minutes, just kind of touching base with a, you know, one of our sphere. It turns out to be a 10, 15, 20-minute conversation because people just kind of vent and talk about their own thing, and it allows to actually really bond with the client and engage the conversation. You ask them how their business doing, or how they, you know, they're on the sideline for work for now and so forth. And they ask you, of course, you know, how's the business? How's real estate for you? And how are things working? So we explain to them that we're still, you know, working, and we're still buying and selling, and that actually ends up getting quite a bit of referrals. So we switch. It's a lot more hearty-feely and less automatic. But the frequency is actually increased, obviously, because of that.
Totally. And then how many hours a day would you say you are personally lead generating?
Myself, not enough, but I would say probably 2 hours. 2 hours a day is dedicated to strictly lead gen. And then many hours a day, because what I do is I do a lot of the marketing along with our marketing department. So many hours a day are dedicated to putting marketing stuff together. And then otherwise it's helping the agent, conversing with the agent. I've increased my relationship, my conversations, not relationship, because it's always been great, but I've increased my number of hours spent with agents, talking with them, doing script, discussing their issues, their concerns. There's always, every day, there's something new, like a new one that comes our way that we have to make an adaptation, or that's good for, you know, adapting a script or something. So it's a lot of conversing with the agent, also keeping them engaged and confident. They were slow for a while. For that 2 weeks, it was a little scary. And then now they're all, you know, most of them are on fire. So they're not getting really busy again. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. And how are you personally keeping yourself in a positive mindset?
I start at 7 and I go till 10 at night every day. So I consider that the positive mindset is doing my walk once a day or every other day, good hour walk, and I have the sense of responsibility where these guys, I want them, as guys and girls, I want them to succeed, and I don't want to let them down, whether it's hard or not. So leadership is definitely being tested in this you know, pandemic situation, and obviously you know, I've stepped up even more than I have in many cases, and they can appreciate that, and I can appreciate very much that they've done exactly the same, because they're more also open to conversation, open that this might not be the right thing. And so there's a lot more engagement that they used to, because sometimes when you're on the fast track, you don't always have time to look back or double check, triple check everything. When you are engaged in a lot more conversation, it helps to actually reassess and readjust things. And we realize that there's a lot of things that we might have taken some shortcuts, and now is the perfect time to put everything back in perspective and reorganize some things as well, which we have.
Excellent. So what does your typical day look like then? You mentioned a walk. Is that?
Yeah. So usually it starts at 7. I get to the coffee, turn on the news, see how the market's doing, and bring the emails and take a look at emails from the day, and then I do about 2 hours of email follow-up and email sending. Usually I then place the calls into agents, follow up on more urgent matters, text and so forth. Take about half an hour for lunch. And then if I have to go somewhere or do something, then I get that going. Otherwise, I'm on the computer and I call all agents. Usually I speak to about half the agents at least every day. And then if it's a Monday, we have our Zoom call, weekly team Zoom call on Monday morning at 10. And then it keeps going through the entire day. I'll do a lot of marketing. So I have a lot of back and forth with the team. With the marketing team, we do Zooms of the brochures or the letters thing that we're going to put out, or the video that they put out for social media and so forth. I'm a little bit of a micromanager on that end. So unfortunately, so I do a lot of that stuff and check on them, and they check on me. And then dinner's at 6, watch a movie with the computer on my lap with my wife, and then still do some follow-up, and at 10 o'clock, shut the computer off and go up to bed.
Nice.
That's the day.
Awesome. So,
and my walk is usually in the late afternoon is usually a walk. Yeah, I said 1 hour. It's usually more like half an hour.
Totally. Well, it's important to get it in there, especially since the gyms are closed. What kind of education are you adding to your schedule?
That's a great question. I don't think I or our team members have been more hours of education than the last month and a half, because the number of educational Zoom that we've listened to or been on is amazing, and the quality is incredible. So I'm sure it's going to be a revolution in like it is for the schools. But so we're on Zooms with Gary on the Mastermind, Zooms with the lab coat agents, Zooms with the association. There's also been a lot of Zooms in regards to the changes in Southern California with the coming soon status and all that stuff. That's been another thing. So it's been awesome in that regard. 3 of our agents asked me where we have our copies of the Shift book, which they've never asked before. So they read it all at least once, but they've asked again. 3 of them asked, yeah, I want to read the Shift book again. So I think there's been a lot of education that they've been reading a lot and listening to a lot of stuff, webinars. It's been really good. How much we can listen to in so few hours.
Definitely. And again, it's about taking action, not just becoming a full-time Zoom student.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. You should see my desk and how many notepads I have with the different stuff that I've highlighted, how many things I need to implement. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of work after this is, yeah.
Totally. So I know that Gary held his masterminds last week with the top realtors in our company. What were your key takeaways from him?
Yeah, that was awesome. So key takeaway is be very smart, be very smart about this is shifting. He's convinced this is shifting. It's going to be, it's going to be hard for a lot of people. So reorganize your business and weather the storm. Get ready by switching your expenses. So first things is like budget. Look at your budgets and cut. That has always been what he said, but he said that's even more important now, even though things might look good in your area, for example, because some of us mentioned, well, in Southern California or, other areas, the business is good. The business is strong in terms of like properties are still turning, so we have to look at we have to look at the cut. So I have to look at this better because I'd done a first cut about a month ago with Gina. Gina's my wife, and she's also the financial officer in our team. So she wants to cut me more always. So I'm going to have to go with what Gary says and do a second round. the other thing is supporting the team. He was very clear about the fact that one of the big ahas was you need to step up to the plate and you need to give directions to your team and help them with where to go. So that was another big thing about what Gary said, and that most of us do. But all together, I think what he brings is this listening skills that he has and fast reaction to it. And I think that it's been incredible to see how many people share. The sharing in this group and what we're doing now, for example, has just been absolutely amazing. So, I learned 50 things every time I listen to him, and I will try to touch at least 2. So those are the main 2 that I picked up that I needed to doing immediate implementation. And some of those things I changed the tune with some of my team members as well, based on that.
Absolutely. And just for everyone too, tomorrow Gary has his next pivot talk with Monica Reynolds at 9 a.m. So please tune in. And then Bold Pivot, of course, starts tomorrow afternoon. That's going to be phenomenal. And are you part of that, Nico, and your team?
2 of our team members are going to do the Bold and then Bold Pivot, and I'm not, but we're I guess we're not the best at doing that, but they're all really busy right now. So it's all a matter of like, yeah, they're basically working their leads that they have now that are, putting them on the market and showing them the properties and all that. So the goal of all that is to have good lead gen and good lead follow-up, right? And smart systems. And so they've got that. They need to work their leads that are already in the tube before they engage even more leads. I mean, it gives us an opportunity to realize when we have more time now that there are so many leads that have just been sitting there, just touch on the surface and never really been pushed hard or followed up on even more than it has. So there's a lot. It's like having a golden nugget, a box with all these golden nuggets, and they have not been touched. So there's a lot of leads that we all have that should be we should take the opportunity to work them even better. There's no need to lead. Half the time, there's no need to generate more leads. They're just right there. They just need to be closed.
Absolutely.
That's one of the things that Gary reminded us, by the way. He said, you don't need to spend money in lead generation, just work your leads and close them.
Yes, definitely. And then you mentioned you did 1 round of expense cutting. What were some of those items that you may have cut?
Yeah. So we cut some hours of first we cut our receptionist for the weekend because obviously there's no more office. So we had to follow that. We did take some cuts on all the marketing advertising. Usually, as I mentioned, on our farming. So we cut probably about 35-40% of our mailers. We cut Zillow. We reached out to every single one of our vendors. It's crazy to think that we have like 25 different vendors, lead generation systems and this and that, and, and the other. That's the beauty of Command. Thank you. So we basically reached to all of them and say, okay, we're done. Or what's your deal? Are you going to help us? And I would say a vast majority of them, they cut their bill by a lot. And some we had to just reduce the level of service. But it's at the end of the day, our expenses, our fixed expenses were cut by about 30% after doing all this round. So there's some things we cannot cut. Like I still have an office, that's running here, that's sitting there empty, but it is what it is. But that's going to help us weather the storm. And I also did some reallocation. So I increased the spending in some other areas. Like now I'm doing Facebook ads like crazy, Instagram ads like crazy. I sell like crazy. I'm not spending money like crazy, but smart way. But some of the money that was spent in mailers got cut, and others got reassigned towards social media. where people are basically. We were doing the ads on TV. We cut that through WebWorks or whatever that's called, this company. You guys are probably familiar with it. WebEx, it's called. So we cut that, and we cut our Google searches. Anyway, that's some of the
Awesome.
cuts.
And I love that idea to call your vendors and ask them, simply ask them.
Yeah, they worked out because honestly, and the ones that don't want to help, just put them to shame. Because I've had this company, and this company, they actually called me. They didn't even need for me to call. They called me and said, "We want to help you. How can we help you?" Blah blah blah. And then you're telling me that the old you're not going to do anything. Or one of them said, "We're going to give you half of the next month, but then you're going to have to pay it. You're going to pay, a fifth of it over the next 5 months." I'm like, where is that cutting? That's just making me pay later. That's not helping me. So anyway, just be a little
Sure.
tough.
Well, you're partners and they want your long-term business. So absolutely. Yeah. And then you have to think, am I in business with the right vendor?
Yeah. And most of them are really great and they understand and and I think it's a matter of how you treat them as well. And, it's like a good relationship. And if you help them, if you ask them for help, they will help. I think they almost all helped at the end.
Totally. Well, so if there was one key takeaway that our attendees should hear from you, what do you think it would be for us moving forward in May? Now that I think we all have hopefully gotten past the mental shock of all of this, and now,
right.
Keeping positive and focusing on, taking market share, like you said.
Right. I think the biggest thing is you're going to have a lot of people who are still going to be in shock, and it's a perfect opportunity for you to show your leadership and how you adapted during these times. And now you have people are still going to be concerned and this and that and the other. It's just master your script as to, this is what I think the market will do. We're going to be fine. This is why it's the best time to sell a home. And this is also why it's the best time to buy a home. And then show your expertise and your specialty and how you adapted during these tough times. And you have COVID, even though it's not going to be COVID, but people are going to be wearing masks for a long time. So I guess it's making sure that you keep in touch with these people that you've spoken with more than normal during these tough times. And then instead of having them, a good contact, make them your best ally, and keep in touch with them when things reopen and all that, even though you're going to get really busy, but work your systems so they can all feel like as good as when you call them during this tough time, they receive that same call once a month. As it's my buddy Nico who's calling. I haven't spoken with him for 5 months before that COVID, but now he's calling me every month. And so it's really doing that, and your business is going to be like freaking crazy.
No, excellent. And it's, a lot of times we are always looking for what to say. So there's nothing better than just to ask, how are you? How's the family? So totally. Yeah. And then a question came in from the audience. What are your average spends for Facebook and Instagram ads?
They're about $10, about 10 days, $10. So about $1 a day for 10 days. It's hard to get a good feel if your campaign run well with less than 10 days. So that's usually what it is. So we do a lot of Facebook postings. So that's a lot of $10, 10 days running, but it's fine. And I usually do it with the friends and with the friends and friends of friends. So because I do farming, so a lot of the people that are in the farm are on our Facebook, account. And I don't use a lot of the business Facebook that we have. I use mostly my own. Well, I have a personal business and a personal. So the personal business is the one that we use most for the ads, along with the business one. But yeah, so that's for Facebook, and it's been really great so far. We got really good response. We had 2 listings that were directly calling us and say, "Hey, I've seen you." They called. They didn't send a message on Facebook. They called and say, "I've seen your video about your COVID and what you guys do, Just want to see if you think it's a good time for me to sell my home. 2 of them, and that was the last, I don't know, 10 days. So the number of leads that we have coming in through the social media has been really good.
Totally. Well, and it goes back to the saturation of your social media presence. So you are looking and they're front of mind, and you're the professional and the expert to navigate right now. So that's awesome.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for your likes
Yay.
and all that good stuff.
Totally, totally. Well, Nico, thank you so much for your time. I hope everyone found great value out of today's Survive and Thrive with a Mega Agent. And congratulations on all of you and your team's success. And thanks for being a leader and a role model for us today.
Thank you. The best to you all. Anytime you can reach out. Reach out anytime any of you have questions. Be happy to help. I answer usually within a few hours.
Yes, you're awesome. And can you remind everyone what your YouTube channel is?
Yeah, it's YouTube /Jonville team, youtube.com/Jonville team, and then Facebook, it's facebook.com/Jonville team. And it's the same for Instagram and all the others usually. And then the website is jonvilleteam.com.
Fabulous. Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you everyone for your participation and being a part of today's awesome event. So don't forget, at 4 p.m. is broker hour. They're going to talk about the clear cooperation further. So let's make sure we're educated on that. All right, Nico, have a great
Best of
evening
luck.
and enjoy your walk if you
Take
haven't
care.
done it yet.
You guys have a good one. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.